So if you saw my short yesterday, you saw that the Dolphins are interested in Odell Beckham Jr. But did you know he's possibly visiting with the Dolphins today? What is up, Finn fans? I made that short yesterday because it was breaking news that Barry Jackson came out and said that the Dolphins are interested in three-time Pro Bowl receiver Odell Beckham, and it was mixed emotions on it. I will talk about that, but also Josina Anderson came out and said some other things. So I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into this whole Odell Beckham situation. Do I want him as a Dolphin? Don't I want him as a Dolphin? All that stuff. We'll look into it. And of course, it was Jalen Waddle, not Jalen Ramsey. But hey, you got a 3-year-old that has 101 fever. Sometimes your brain has a little bit of a fart. But before we jump into that, I do want to talk about a few things. First and foremost, the Dolphins seem to be bringing back the receivers. River Craycraft says Finn's all the way up back to work. The Dolphins are bringing back River Craycraft. So they brought back River Craycraft. They brought back Braxton Berrios. I don't know nor think they'll bring back Chase Claypool. It'll be interesting to see if that is a thing, if they will bring back Chase Claypool. But River Craycraft comes back, so they somewhat are running it back. Somewhat. Also, the Dolphins yesterday were down at Texas, checking out the Texas Longhorn players. This one's funny. It says Dolphin head coach Mike McDaniel just asked Xavier Worthy why he's not running today's 40. Worthy's response: I don't want to break the record too much. And if you don't know who he is, go check out his 40 time at the combine. Ridiculous fast. But the group includes receivers Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, tight end Jadavian Sanders. I like him. I'd still probably grab him if he's a possibility in the second round, even though we do have Jonnu Smith. Running backs Jonathan Brooks, as well as defensive lineman Byron Murphy II and T'Vondre Sweat. Now, T'Vondre Sweat, will he be there at 21? And can the Dolphins scoop up one of those guys? We will see, but the Dolphins are down there to check them out because they need some help, especially in that defensive tackle position. So that's going to be very, very interesting. So now let's jump into what the title of the video is and kind of the meat and potatoes of this video. And that is essentially this. Josina Anderson says, I'm told free agent wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. is currently planning to visit the Dolphins Thursday per source. That is today. So he is going to be visiting the Dolphins today. Will he sign? Won't he sign? All that stuff. We don't know yet. Like, this video is coming out at like 9 o'clock in the morning. I doubt they're going to make any news or anything. So far, I'm trying to remember. So far this offseason, if someone has visited, besides John Jenkins, the defensive tackle, and someone visits, they sign. Jonnu visited, he signed. Siren Neal visited, he signed. Will he sign? Now, here's the thing. Here's my thoughts on Odell Beckham Jr. because, Hunter Renfro's out there, and I like him. I like him as a possibility. I'm going to pull up just boop the mic. I'm going to pull up his stats here. And you can see he kind of fell off the past 2 years. His receiving and his offense. Now, could it be the quarterback? Obviously his production yards-wise fell off. He also got hurt at some point. So, you see he barely played at stints. But then you look at Odell Beckham, and he has been obviously he was elite with the Giants his first 3 years there, but he's still last year was still a good year for him. His yards per reception were the highest they ever been for him in the NFL at 16.1. Yeah, he didn't break 1,000 yards. He hasn't broken 1,000 yards since his first year in Cleveland. But he is older. You see Renfro's only been doing it for 5 years. You can see Odell's been doing it for much longer. It's going to be about 10 years, give or take. So here's my thought, right? Because you look at these PFF grades and you look at the both of them side to side, and you see one hasn't been doing it longer, but one also obviously has been doing it better the longer he's doing it. So here's my thing about Odell Beckham Jr. Now, a lot of people I read your comments, especially the ones where I'm like, you're like, hey, you messed up saying names. And of course I did. And I always own up to it. A lot of people don't like the fact that he's going to be a diva. He's going to be a prima donna. They're going to bring him in. He's going to get upset if he doesn't get a lot of receptions. He's going to get upset if he doesn't get the yards and this and that. And then because Tyreek is being targeted more and blah, blah, blah. You don't come to Miami with that mindset. Plain and simple, right? First off, the Dolphins probably aren't going to sign him if he's that locker room cancer, nor do you come into a team with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and expect, hey, I want 1,000 yards this year. And if I don't get the ball, I'm going to, complain and I'm going to make everyone's lives a living hell and blah, 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 this, and that. Because obviously you have Tyreek Hill, who's the number 1 receiver. You have Jalen Waddle, who's number 2. You're going to be number 3 in the rotation. Like, you're going to come in here and that's going to be your thing. So I don't think that's going to be a thing with Odell. I don't think he's going to come in and he's going to start pissing and moaning because he's not getting the ball enough, and he's going to start throwing tantrums on the sideline, and he's going to pull a whatever and storm off, Antonio Brown, take his jersey, his pads off and kind of leave. I don't think that's the thing. I do, and then some people say, I don't want to overpay for him. The Dolphins aren't going to overpay for anybody. Like, there's still some guys out there that I want the Dolphins to target. Like, I want them to kind of steal Jadeveon Clowney. I know he visited the Jets yesterday, but I want the Dolphins to kind of go in and scoop away and don't let him go back to the Ravens or anywhere else. Simmons is still out there. I would love for them to get him. I don't know why he's still out there. But also, like, the 2 names I had on my list for receiver were Michael Thomas, who I know is been injured prone, and Hunter Renfrow. Odell wasn't really on my list because, for one, I was just like, meh. So the fact that the Dolphins are showing some type of interest in him, and the fact that he is potentially visiting with the Dolphins today, that's my reaction. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, he's going to suck and he's going to demand this. No, because it just doesn't make logical sense for him to think that, you know what I'm saying? For him to come in and think, I'm going to take receptions away from Tyreek. I'm going to take receptions away from Waddle. Hell, I'm going to take receptions away from Jonnu Smith. That's just not the thing. Like, you need to realize where you are in your career. You are what? Like I said, 10 years in. You're not the starter. You're not the head honcho, the lead receiver. You're coming in to help, essentially. Will he be better than the guys we have? Of course. I think if he signs, you instantly pencil him in at the number 3 receiver. I think he really competes with Eric Uzukama to be that number 3 guy. I think, we lost him because of that neck injury. Before that, he was doing really great with the end arounds, really good with the 50-50 balls. But I don't see it as a negative to add him. But I don't see it as a backflip positive, where you're like, we got Odell. If this was 2017, then I'm doing a backflip. Then I'm like, we're trading either Tyreek or Jalen Waddle because we have Odell Beckham Jr. Oh my goodness, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the case. That's not the case at all. So I'm not going to, overreact to him possibly joining the Dolphins. We'll see if he signs. That's the other reason. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, horrible move. He's old. He's mid, which is a word that everyone's using a lot lately. He's washed. That's another word a lot of people are using lately. Because he's still productive. Regardless that he had 565 yards last year, he had 16.1 yards per reception. He is still productive. He doesn't drop the ball a lot, which was a big problem with us. He had an 80 PFF grade and drops. Like, he is still a productive receiver that can definitely help the team, but we'll see if they do it. He went to the Rams. He helped them win a Super Bowl. Not saying he's going to come do that for us, but we'll see. That's all I'm going to say. We'll see. I'm going to reserve my thoughts on bringing him in, whether it's a good or a bad. I don't think it's a bad. I'll give you a spoiler. I don't think it's a bad, but like I said, I don't think it's like we're bringing in, I'm trying to think of a name. Like, we traded for T. Higgins. If we had more draft picks, if we had a third and a fourth, and we didn't trade the draft picks away for Bradley Chubb and for tampering, I think we make a trade for somebody. I think we go out and make a trade for T. Higgins. I think that's a thing. But, or, make a trade for anybody, really. Snead probably be here now because we wouldn't be so stuck with only having a first and then nothing until the 5th. But that's you got to play with the hand you made yourself. It's not even you were dealt. You did this to yourself, Miami. So we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated. If he does sign, obviously I'm going to make a video. If he doesn't sign, there's still other guys out there. You heard Tyreek trying to get Mike Thomas. A lot of guys like Renfro. We'll see. But comment below. Let me know. Now that I've been able to have more than a minute, because those shorts you only get a minute, to give you guys a little bit more in-depth on what I'm thinking about this whole thing. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Are you still like, nope, don't do it, even though there's really no downside to it? Comment below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Like usual, stay classy. Fins up.